Here we fucking go! You're listening to Bread and Circuses.
Was like the mob media for one is the entire world populated. Like everybody's on Twitter. Fucking the UK is on Twitter. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
unfortunately.
With Caleb Salvatore.
Well, they can't go to the comedy shows because there's a 2-drink minimum, and you can't mix the Percocet you've been stealing from work with liquor.
And Nick Kohler.
There literally be people in the fucking 80s that didn't know that nutting in a girl would make her pregnant.
No one's asked that question. What did those families do to provoke Alex Jones like that?
You know what'll solve all of these racial police protests? A Pepsi.
What the fuck is up, friends? Welcome to this week's episode of Bread and Circuses. We may be having some issues with the video again. I don't know. So if it is, I apologize, but it'll be fixed on the next episode. I promise. It's not like we have a huge YouTube demand anyway. So it is what it fucking is. But I'm here.
Yeah, the YouTube's kind of a weird animal, man. It's just it's all big. Like thank God the Anchor makes it so easy to just upload everything for all the audio. But like YouTube, I swear, man, you gotta have a professional production team to like be good on there, man.
Dude, YouTube's so tough. The only value YouTube really has, because I mean, let's be honest, nobody watches like a full podcast, right? Like you listen to it for the most part. Nobody sits down and like even the big ones. No one's like they may play it in the background for noise, but nobody sits down and they're like, oh, I gotta see Joe Rogan's 3.5-hour video that's just him talking. But you know, it's not really a big deal. So but the main thing is it's used for clips, right? So 5 to 10 minute clickbaity things that catch people's attention and get them interested in listening to your podcast as a whole. That's the value of YouTube and the value of doing videos. Just
at least conversational podcasts, because there's some that kind of rely heavily on like say a movie podcast where they talk about like different scenes in movies and stuff. Yeah. So then you kind of have to watch. But I mean that's its own thing, you know what I mean? That's like not what we're doing. So
no, it's not what we're doing here. We are here in Omaha and El Paso, though it's January 11th.
It's fucking cold, man.
Cold as ball. Actually, it's only like 50 degrees here, but
it's colder here than it is there.
Yeah, no shit. But the head of the Douglas County Department of Health, Lindsay Hughes, who is not a doctor, and her certificate to control infectious diseases expired in September of 2021 and was not elected and answers to nobody. Somehow felt that she had the ability to pass another mask mandate here in Omaha for another 4 weeks that will go into effect midnight tonight for everybody but me, because I'm not complying with it. I have absolutely no intention to wear a mask anywhere other than the doctor, which is where I'd been wearing it all along. I'm done. I'm not doing this shit anymore. It's fucking bullshit. We like if it went through the city council, you know, that'd be one thing. You know, people that we elected that actually have to answer to us. We've basically built like a fourth branch of government here, the medical branch that reigns supreme over the other three and can just do whatever they want as long as they declare something to be an epidemic. And there's nothing we can do about it. They answer to nobody. We can't vote them out. There's nothing we can do. So it's great that's where we're at now. That because I mean, her certification's expired. Could you imagine if I drove with or carried a gun without my concealed carry? If that was expired, I'd go to fucking jail. But this bitch can pass tyrannical fucking laws and do mask mandates for the whole city with an expired license. So I don't know. There's my soapbox speech. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the only news for that kind of stuff with El Paso is that, and I swear, dude, this is a fucking a cut and paste fucking like news headline that El Paso news outlets just break out every month.
Sure.
COVID cases on the rise. I'm like, dude, I read that literally every single month here on like the KTVS or the local fucking news. It's like they probably don't even change up the actual fucking body of the article.
No.
They probably just type the same shit and then just change the dates for it.
Nobody reads the article. It's all headlines.
Yeah, it's all the headline.
It's all
like, okay, ICU beds in El Paso fill up as COVID-19 cases. So I'm pretty sure I read that same news headline, and this is KFox, so this is like Fox News for El Paso.
Yeah,
for sure I read that same headline like 3 months ago, dude. Exact, like word for word.
It's asinine. Well, I don't know what they did there, but here, at least in the big cities, the medical centers passed ruling saying our staff has to be fully vaccinated, including a booster, or they'll be fired. Here's my thing: you don't fire nurses in a pandemic. That's all there. If you're in a pandemic, you don't fire nurses, right? So like that's my thing. The other thing is I part of me, it almost feels like this is an artificial pandemic. Like they're firing these nurses so that they can create the hospital bed shortage that they've been warning us about and say, look, I told you so. We need to lock down again.
Who's they? Like the people
the medical
in Omaha
system.
or something?
The higher ups in the medical system.
Yeah.
I mean, these fucking unelected bureaucrats. Like, I'm sorry. Last time I checked, they signed a piece of paper like 250 years ago saying we didn't have to listen to unelected bureaucrats. And if they wanted to make us do that, we'd shoot them. I don't know what the hell happened over the last 200 years, but for some reason, apparently they can just step it. The CDC said that gun violence was a national epidemic and that they were going to look into doing this. This was a couple of weeks ago. They were going to look into doing the same exact thing, same exact measures to stop gun violence that they did with COVID. So national rulings that don't go through Congress. I mean, this is asinine. At what point have we just had enough?
They said that gun violence was a disease. That sounds like something Hitler would say.
Literally, yeah. I mean, no, it's literally. I mean, we had the joke about the nurse to hoe pipeline because that's what this Lindsay Hughes as the Douglas County Director of Health. We had that joke about the nurse to hoe.
Is she a nurse or something?
Yeah, she's a fucking nurse. It's the nurse to Nazi pipeline. That's what this has become with this woman.
Dude, I have friends that I went to high school with that like quit their jobs at their hospitals they were working because they were making vaccine mandates for their employees. So they quit and found different jobs. I'm
sure. And it's like, what else are you gonna do? They got what they want. The higher ups in the medical system, big mask, as we call them.
Yeah, big mask. Dude, what have you heard any news about the governor race at all in Nebraska?
With Scott?
Yeah, or just in the race in general.
Scott actually did his first debate.
Did he really?
Some town I'd never heard of in Nebraska, and I guess he said he did really good. So I mean, I'm rooting for him. I'm gonna do a speaking engagement at an event for him in McCook, Nebraska on June 6th. So I'll be down there doing that. I've been told there's certain things I cannot say. It's not a stand-up set. It's a family event. My new thing at comedy.
Are you gonna go over there and say Jill Stein's husband killed him?
Gene Stothard,
or Gene Stothard's husband, not Jill Stein.
Yeah, Jill Stein.
That Gene Stothard's husband didn't kill himself; that he was murdered.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm gonna do is well, no, what I'm not gonna do, because I've been recently my new thing at comedy shows is I'll start like a chant, like I'll get a couple comics and then the crowd will start going, COVID's not real. COVID's not real. And we'll try to chant that. And I was advised by several people on the campaign not to do that because it would draw negative attention to myself. If a chant, because in McCook, Nebraska, they're going to agree with it. If the chant COVID's not real broke out at a governor rally, it wouldn't really be the media attention they wanted. So
yeah, you basically just turned this campaign into a meme. So
I might start. No one's told me I can't do Let's Go Brandon though.
I might God, dude.
I might start a Let's Go Brandon chant. I don't really believe in censorship. I might just start fuck Joe Biden and we'll see what happens. Man.
Dude, did you see like how a part of the new American Rescue Plan or whatever?
No.
Like I don't know, you've gone to school, so like you've gotten those HERF checks. Like the checks that are supposed to go, they're like almost like stimulus checks, but they're supposed to go to students that have done college over the pandemic.
No, didn't know about that.
Really? You never got the checks or something? Or
nope.
Because you've been going to school for the past year, haven't you?
On and off.
maybe it's only for full-time students, but I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I do know that for me, I've been dealing a lot with that for the past a couple weeks because
Mhm.
for my job and everything. And it's funny because now our school is starting to run out of fucking funding for it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
Which
everyone's going broke.
they've done 3 other checks for it's a federal thing.
How
So
much is it?
this one was like 1,700
What
max or
the fuck?
something.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
apply for that. I don't fucking that. I
You
went to
should
the school of
probably
hard knocks. Fucking-
they might have ran out of funding or something for not giving it to because it's based off of like student need, like off their FAFSAs. So
Mhm. I,
yeah, you might just not have got it, but
I
I
can
don't
make
I don't know.
myself look really broke if that's what I need to do. I can do that pretty easily. I can rack up some debt.
And I
Yes.
was asking too about the governor thing because I also read that Beto O'Rourke's running for old Texas governor
Oh, he
again,
is for
dude.
sure.
Since it's up for Abbott down here too
Jesus
this
Christ.
year.
He's gonna get the floor mopped with him.
I know, dude.
I don't think he realizes, man, that like he's capped out. Like the amount of people that voted for him against Ted Cruz is the maximum amount of people that will ever vote for him in the state of Texas. It's just like Ted Cruz is a slimeball fucking scumbag career politician that everyone hates, and you still couldn't beat him in a
Yeah,
blue
for
wave
real.
year, in a midterm where the president was a Republican and not popular, and you still
There
couldn't beat
is,
him.
dude, I highly doubt with the way the economy is right now that any red is gonna leave or any
No,
blue is gonna get in the governor spots, dude.
there'd have to be like a very massive scandal for someone to lose their seat.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's pretty fucking bad. Like that's pretty much like how the days with Carter was, where like all the
mhm.
Republicans just basically took over like after
Yeah.
Carter was
Well,
in because the economy.
you see, like DeSantis in Florida, he's probably had COVID, right? Because he went missing for like a week and he came back and he was like short of breath in his speech and stuff. And the amount of people that like you can see people, they're not outright saying it, but they're fucking giddy, just hoping that this guy dies. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is where we're at, is we're
People are fucking
openly
insane, dude.
cheering on the deaths of our political enemies. Like, you know what it is? They have all these nicknames. They call him Death Santis and stuff because he wouldn't lock the economies down and stuff. What it is they know that Florida's COVID cases peaked a lot earlier than a lot of other states, and their deaths and their cases are relatively close, if not lower, than every other state in the country, including blue states like New York and California that did lock down. They know that. They know that when you look at the numbers, Florida, yes, they peaked earlier, but as far as total cases and deaths, it ain't no different than anywhere else in the country. And you see that, and you see that the economy's booming down there. They've kept everything open. Nobody lost their business. Nobody's out of jobs, and they're just going about life as normal, as usual. And people see that, and a lot of people know, like, DeSantis is going to run for president in 2024. And if Trump doesn't run, DeSantis is going to mop the floor
Well,
with
Trump
Biden.
is probably gonna run, but
God help
yeah,
us
it's just
all.
well, I think it's a matter of who's can he
I
win it? I don't know if he can win again, man. We'll see. But
I don't know. I almost hope this January 6th thing gets him locked up. Like as
what
bad,
January 6th thing?
just like his ties to the riot or whatever. Like as bad as it would look to see a former president go to jail. It's almost
I don't
necessary.
think he's not gonna go to jail for that, dude. Like,
I don't either. No, I don't either. I think a lot of it's a crock of shit. I think it's going to go away because we're going to find out the FBI was a lot more heavily involved than they once told us it was. So I think you're going to stop hearing about the January 6th
KGB
thing.
was probably behind a lot of it too. They've like KGB agents have admitted that they like set up that kind of shit. They
Sure,
just, like,
we do it to them.
yeah, they make like anonymous accounts on Twitter and stuff, and like organize that kind of stuff. So
How much political dissent have we sown in other countries? As of course they do it here. Like we kind of deserve it. You know what I mean? Like it's just oh yeah, we did miss we didn't do an episode the last time, but it was the anniversary of the worst day in American history. If you hear some people say January 6th.
A day that shall forever live in infamy.
I tweeted, I said 9/11 could happen every day and it still wouldn't be as bad as January 6th.
Dude, if you go look up the day, if you go look up the Pearl Harbor on Wikipedia, on the bottom, you'll see like somebody be like, this the January 6th, the fucking riots have been called a day that should live in infamy, just like Pearl Harbor. Like,
so like they mentioned,
and then you fucking click on the reference for it, and it's a New York Times article.
they seriously, the Pearl, anyone that wants to talk about bias on Wikipedia, the Pearl Harbor article, historical event, changed the shape of history. We can talk about that all day. They mentioned January. They can't refrain from mentioning January 6th. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
It's a pretty good example of left-wing bias on Wikipedia. I just think it's funny that they do their reference and it's literally like a circle jerk. Like they reference a New York Times article about it. I'm like,
this is why we need to get on StreamYard, because I could pull that up real quick and show everybody. But no, like that's fucking insane to me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You saw that woman, she's running for Senate or Congress or whatever in Florida, and she said on 9/11, she tweeted, "Today is now the second worst day I've lived through in American history since January 6th."
That sounds like something you would do
as a joke.
Yeah,
I
that's what I mean.
Things like that as jokes, but these people are so serious about it. January 6th, the insurrection. Like, come on.
Insurrection.
If it was an insurrection, someone would have got killed. You don't think that none of those people had guns, that like own guns? If they really wanted to storm the Capitol and threaten our democracy, it would have been a lot more fucking bloody than it was, than one chick getting shot by a cop, and
the guy tasering his own balls or whatever.
Yeah, that was like the only, and then there's some cop had like a heart attack like 3 days later, and they tried to count that as a death. They're like, the insurrectionist killed somebody. I'm like, no, there was probably overweight and it was probably too much exercise for him. Like it's it's a political football, unfortunately. That's all it is. It's
what we're here for. We're here to combat political propaganda on the media on both sides.
But like seriously, it's just like was it bad? Yeah, of course. You had a bunch of people broke in and fucking terrorized Congress and stole a bunch of shit that was national security. So
those guys that were like standing on the like Senate floor, like just taking pictures. That guy that was like sitting at fucking what's her name's desk.
Oh, Pelosi.
Yeah, Pelosi's desk was pretty.
My favorite's the guy walking out with the speaker's podium.
Yeah,
just like,
he's just got the podium.
It's fucking hilarious. Like, come on, it's hilarious.
It's not like they burned down a police station or anything.
And it's like, as much shit that was. So we could talk about the Black Lives Matter and the riots over the summers of 2020 and all the shit going on, right? But at the end of the day, Target was not the person oppressing you. It was the police, right? But people still went and burned down Target. You still went and burned down IHOP. You still went and terrorized local diners and auto body shops and shit like that and just stole and acted lawlessly. If nothing else, you can agree with the January 6th protesters. You can disagree with them. But at the end of the day, they took their issue to the source of their problem. They didn't go fucking terrorize Starbucks down the street. They went straight to what they considered to be the source of the problem.
They overthrew the U.S. government, dude.
For like 20 minutes.
We're a different government now. Like that's how our fucking government works. You could just be inside the Capitol, and it just is a new government, dude. Now we're going back to fucking we're going back to Jim Crow laws and slavery's legal again.
They're gonna put gay people in camps.
This time it's just the Filipinos.
It's just the it's just like with the January. It was kind of funny, that scene where they're all like climbing the walls and they look like the fucking orcs in the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers.
Yeah, right.
So much in a Photoshop.
Especially that fucking Viking guy with the fucking horned helmet and the bare chest. And shit.
I mean, it was like, again, yes, arrest them. Go ahead. They trespassed, they stole, they probably committed a whole fuck ton of felonies. But let's not act like it's the same thing as if they strapped up with guns and just took over the Capitol. And it was like an armed insurrection.
Yeah, they like held the Capitol for like a month. Like they occupied a government zone, like a certain city, and they just were the separate entity for a month. Like,
it's almost like it's exactly.
Like that didn't happen somewhere else. Like,
Do you remember in Oregon a couple years ago the like redneck guys that took over that Department of Wildlife building?
Yeah, they all got killed.
A couple. They all straight up got. No, it was only like 2 or 3 of them got killed.
Man, that's what I heard.
The rest got arrested. No, there was like 2 or 3 of them got killed, but it was they were like on Twitter, and they were like, "We didn't think we'd be here this long. Could someone please bring us snacks?" Like,
what's the deal with those guys? They were like protesting, like Seattle was trying to like
it's a land grab.
Yeah,
They're protesting a
Washington
land
was
grab.
trying to like fucking eminent domain like
Yeah.
some of their property or some shit,
Yeah.
right? And they were like standing in solidarity of it or something.
It was a land grab, and
Yeah.
personally, I think they were right. You know, it's fucking you. I 100% disagree with eminent domain. You know, it's. I mean, sometimes I understand they got to build hospitals, they got to build a road, but more often than not, they're just terrorizing people and taking their stuff with.
One thing
what
about
they
eminent
deem to be
domain
value.
too is when they eminent domain like farms like way out at the fucking middle of the way
Yeah.
outskirts of town, and they're eminent domaining it for like the interstate or something.
They lowball the shit out of you.
No, they don't lowball them. They give them a fuck ton of
do
money,
they?
dude. Yeah,
Oh,
they
really?
don't
I didn't know
lowball
that.
you. They do the opposite. They like pay you way more. Like,
Oh, well, yeah, they're trying to bribe you out.
yeah, they're trying to bribe you. So it's not like they're just fucking giving you like, $2,000 for your fucking 20 acres of land or whatever.
Yeah.
They like, you get set pretty fucking well off. Like,
Yeah, but it's still your land, and if
eminent
you don't want to
domain.
sell it, you shouldn't have to sell it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I suppose that's true, but like, you know what I mean? It's not like they don't, you know what I mean? It's not like they fucking steal it from you. They do give you a good fucking chunk of money for it.
Unless you're in Waco.
Yeah,
And they just
right.
slaughter your family.
Well, they weren't doing that for eminent domain, were they? What was the exact reason that they were sieging that?
Well, they had someone that didn't want to go along with the status quo. What they said
Wasn't
it was
he not paying taxes or something?
It was taxes and weapons. So what it was they had, and it was right after Ruby Ridge, which I don't know if you're familiar with Ruby Ridge. So you had a guy that moved his family in Ruby Ridge. You had a guy that moved to Randy Weaver. He moved his family to Idaho, and he got tied in with some extremist group. I don't know if it was white supremacist or it's not really relevant, but he met a guy who happened to be an undercover Fed, and this Fed hooked him into selling sawed-off shotguns. Entrapment, like fucking lawyer straight out of law school would get this case thrown out. Well, they came to raid his house. He said, "Fuck you, I'm not going anywhere." And there was a standoff. They shot his 12-year-old son in the back of the head, killed his dog, killed his wife. I think they killed his daughter too.
As the FBI does.
Yeah, it was the FBI and the ATF. And so that happened. So a couple years later, you have Waco. And Ruby Ridge was under H.W. Bush. Waco was under the Clinton administration and Janet Reno. Who, when Janet Reno died, I extended my flagpole and raised it higher because I was so happy. But I wonder, she's in hell right now at the bottom of it where she belongs. But so you had Waco.
She's putting the logs on the fire for
for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, for RPG and John McCain.
Yeah, John McCain. You can't forget John McCain.
And in the fucking boiling pot that they're forever sitting in.
Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh. She's forced to put the logs on the fire for it.
Yep. So Waco, you had the Branch Davidians. It was a cult. I mean, that's what it was. This guy was.
Yeah, they were like a fucking Christian cult type deal, like weirdos. But
he was a polygamist, which whatever. Not my. I think it's weird as fuck. I'd never be involved with it. But at the end of the day, if it's all
you don't gotta kill somebody for being a polygamist. Nope. Like
if it's all consenting adults, that's fine. If it's not consenting adults, then go and take care of the guy that's doing it. But that doesn't mean
the FBI
kill the kids to protect the kids. No, the FBI didn't try. That's where they got it.
I thought the FBI falsely tried to claim that he was like a pedophile or something.
That was the claim. That was how they justified it. So what happened was they said that they really wanted him for weapons and taxes. What happened was they said he was abusing kids. Now, he had been investigated by CPS, by the local sheriff's department, and I believe the FBI had looked into it as well, and there was no proof to back up the child abuse allegations. So they wanted him. They said, let's get him on weapons. So the thing with David Koresh was a very routine person. He would go into town every day, right? Not every day. He'd go into town once a week to pick up supplies, to pick up ammunition, to get all kinds of stuff. He would go on a jog every morning down a road that was outside the compound at the same time every day. So if they really wanted to get him, they could have just picked him up at any moment. It wouldn't have been hard. But what they wanted to do was they were a bully and they wanted to flex their arm. And then they realized they were going to go in there and they were going to make this big show. We're going to kick in the doors and we're going to arrest everyone. We're going to walk out with all these kids and these guns. And it's going to be this huge hero thing. And we're all going to look great. And it's going to be national news. And we're going to get a huge funding bump. And everyone's going to look like a hero. And we're going to be badasses and intimidate these extremists. Well, what happened was they tried to kick in the doors and they said, fuck you, you're not coming in here. And they killed like 3 ATF agents and said, you're not coming in here. And somebody actually fought back. They weren't ready for that. They realized they were in too deep at this point. It would be egg on their face if they just let it go. So the FBI came and took over. What the FBI wound up doing was throwing tear gas in and then setting it on fire and burning it to the ground. There's a video. They
killing everybody.
They claim that the people in the cult started the fire, but I mean, tear gas is known to incite fire. It's banned under the Geneva Convention for that reason. You can't shoot it into like a fucking house like that. They knew they had lanterns in there. And there's also a video of a tank with a flamethrower attached to it burning down a fucking hall in the Waco siege. So I mean, come on, do the math. It's just.
I heard that the David Koresh cost the federal government like some exorbitant amount of money for every day that they were doing that fucking.
Oh, I'm sure it was like a month-long standoff.
Yeah, they cost like taxpayers like.
Yeah.
Up a million every day, or it was like some ridiculous amount of money like that.
So I stand by it when I say it. The FBI is a terror organization. The worst thing about Waco was all the innocent people that died. The second worst thing about
that died in a fire.
The second worst thing about Waco was they didn't take enough feds with them. That's all there is to it. Like they didn't do enough. But I mean, they weren't ready for it, and it's just kind of like you get punched. You go to confront somebody, you think you're going to beat the shit out of him, and he punches you back, and it's like, oh, now I actually have to fight. Fuck. And they panicked, and they just overkilled it, and they killed like 50 kids. And there was internal, and they claim the Branch Davidians shot first, but there have been investigations from the local sheriff's department and the Texas Rangers into the shootings that said ballistics show that the ATF fired first. And the Branch.
I love anytime the Facebook page for the FBI, which I follow because it's funny to see people shit on the FBI sometimes. Yeah. They'll try to post like, oh, this man bravely died in the fucking the Waco siege, and like everybody was flaming them, being like,
ATF's the same
murderers. Way. Yeah.
Spike Cohen dunks on the ATF. If you don't follow him, follow him.
Yeah,
every time they post.
Yeah.
Every time they post, he just dunks on him. There was some guy, the ATF posted, it was on the anniversary of Waco because they're just tone deaf, right? And they were like, rest in peace to our agents, blah, blah, blah. And they were talking about the agents that died. And this guy posted a video of him at the memorial for those agents with his dick out, pissing on their graves, and commented on it. And I'm like, this guy's probably going to jail, but he is an American hero.
That's awesome, dude.
That guy needs a memorial. Where's one for
the
that?
ATF went and sieged his house and cost the federal government or cost taxpayers like fucking $20 million for it.
They just plant kiddie porn on you. They don't have to kill you anymore. They figured it out. They plant kiddie porn on your computer. Just if they don't have to kill you anymore. No, that's too messy. Now if they want you, they just put some go in there and put some child porn on his computer. Yeah, that'll take care of him. That'll delegitimize anybody. It was like,
yeah, maybe they did that to Jared Fogle.
He was gonna blow the top off of the sandwich industry.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, it wasn't just images. Jared was like going to Thailand and buying little boys, from what I understand. Or little girls. Jared was a freak. Jared was a piece of human shit. Like,
was he?
Yeah,
he's going to Thailand. There's only one reason a middle-aged white man goes to Thailand.
It's not good.
And it's not good.
Have you know that song they play at sporting events? That they don't play that anymore. And there's a reason.
Really?
The guy
Why?
that sings it, Gary Glitter, is an absolute piece of shit. I'll look up his history right now. It's on so he was actually scheduled to face a firing squad in Vietnam, because that's what they do with sex offenders in Vietnam, is they face a firing squad. So yeah, they don't fuck around. You don't go to jail. You don't get put in a special prison. You face a firing squad. So in November 97, Glitter was arrested after a technician discovered pornographic images of children on the hard drive of the laptop he had taken to a computer retailer. Okay. if you're gonna take your computer in for repairs, take the fucking kiddie porn off of it. Why would you why? You know they're gonna look. I used to work at a pawn shop. People would when I was in college, people would bring up fucking phones, and if they had to unlock it, and if that shit wasn't wiped, of course we were gonna look through the pictures on it. Like people get bored at their job.
Oh yeah, did you ever see any big fat dicks on there?
Too many, man. Too many.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no. But further images were discovered by the police in searches of his homes in London. Castigated in the media over the allegations. Additionally, his appearance was cut. So he skipped through there. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison in England in '99. So let me get to the Vietnam shit. There we go. From March 2005. Oh no, there we go.
Firing squad, dude. Holy shit.
Following rejection by the British public and facing scrutiny from the press following his arrest and conviction, Glitter fled on his yacht to Spain. He lived in Sota Grande for 6 months in his yacht, which was moored at the marina. He told the locals that his name is Larry Brilliante and spent his time frequenting bars and surfing the internet. After his real identity became known in Sota Grande, he moved to Cuba and later Cambodia, where he rented an apartment. In late 2002, he was detained over his previous sex offenses and spent 4 days in jail before being released on bail. In January 2003, he was deported from Cambodia to Thailand on a flight to Bangkok. He then settled in Vietnam. From March 2005, Glitter resided in Vung Tau, Vietnam, where he rented a luxury seaside villa and applied for permanent residency. He came to the attention of Vietnamese authorities after getting banned from a nightclub for groping a teenage witness. This guy's just a menace.
Oh my god, dude!
Eyewitnesses reported. Yeah, so you guys, every time you hear this song from here on out,
like again?
you're gonna
What's
vomit.
His name? Gary Glitter.
Yeah, he looks like a fat Elvis impersonator.
Gary Glitter.
Eyewitnesses also reported seeing him take 2 young girls to his home. On 12
Holy
November
shit.
2005, he fled his home. A 15-year-old girl was found living in his flat and was questioned by authorities. Police began searching for Glitter, and he was arrested at Tan Son Nhat International Airport in Ho Chi Minh City while trying to board a flight to Bangkok. 6 Vietnamese girls aged 11 to 23 claimed Glitter had sex with them. After his arrest, Glitter was turned over to provincial police in whatever that town is and returned to Vung Tau and held on suspicion of having sex with 2 underage girls. Glitter was held in jail throughout the criminal investigation, which was complete on December 26, 2005. Charge of rape was dropped for lack of evidence, according to Glitter's lawyer. Although Glitter admitted that an 11-year-old girl had slept in his bed, he could have faced execution by firing squad if found guilty of child rape. After having received compensatory payouts from Glitter, all the girls' families dropped the charges. I mean,
yeah,
in
poor
Vietnam,
Vietnamese people,
yeah, he probably paid like $50 each. So that was enough that was generational
Dude, he
wealth.
Looks like a fucking sci-fi character, man.
Literally.
God damn.
Yeah.
Is currently incarcerated, which is
no,
good.
he's been arrested for like hundreds of other things. Yeah.
Scumbag.
The sentence included mandatory deportation at the end of his sentence and the payment of 5 million Vietnamese dong, which is $315 to the victims' families.
He got the Vietnamese dong.
He was throwing around too much Vietnamese dong. That was his problem. He sexually abused and committed obscene acts with children many times in a disgusting and sick manner. Glitter continued to deny any wrongdoing, claiming to have been framed by British tabloid newspapers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So yeah, he's still in prison. 19 countries have banned him from entry.
The Philippines barred him from entry.
Yep.
Oh my god.
19 Philippines and 18 other countries. He's currently incarcerated in England. What a piece of garbage.
It looks like he got released in Vietnam. He probably paid him a bunch of money or something.
Yeah, $500. The generational wealth. That's like,
you know what's funny is like, dude, literally the Vietnamese government like has done some pretty like good guy things over the past like 50 years. Like they resisted the US government.
Yeah.
They resisted the Chinese invasion.
And they tried to kill Gary Glitter.
Well, they tried to kill Gary Glitter. Sucks that they couldn't do that.
I know, they should have pulled it off.
They fucking toppled over Pol Pot's Cambodian government.
Yeah.
They're not. They were the reason why that Pol Pot's not like that government's not in power anymore in Cambodia.
Cambodia is still like a dictatorship, though, isn't it?
I thought they were like one of those like fake democracies. That's
like the U.S.
Yeah, basically.
I bet they don't have anything as bad as January 6th.
Oh God,
Pol-
yeah. The
what
killing fields,
yeah.
nowhere near on
What-
the same level as the January 6th insurrection.
What Pol Pot did was nothing compared to January 6th. Okay,
God damn.
it doesn't even compare. The Holocaust could happen every year, and it wouldn't be as bad as January 6th. It's just there's nothing.
Yeah, like Vietnam is actually like the good guys, dude. They're the fucking good guys of the world right now.
Fucked up, man. That's fucked up. Did you see the U.S. government's going to establish a Department of Homeland Security for domestic terror?
Oh,
For
are
anyone
they?
they consider to be an anti-government extremist?
Oh, cool. What are they?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
They'll probably go after the Boogaloo Boys, and then a Republican will take over and use it to go after Antifa, and they'll cry that the department shouldn't exist and forget that they're the ones that created it, and it'll just be a back and forth pendulum swing. That's how it usually goes with those things. You know, it's all great until
It
someone
often
else takes
seems
power.
like something like that, like the FBI and CIA. It often seems like the FBI, CIA, and all those government organizations like that, like are at like going at odds against each other.
Yeah. Half the time they probably have fucking people in the same agency, like plotting on different sides of each conflict, and they don't even know.
Yeah. FBI. What was it like with the FBI? For the CIA, people fought the FBI guys in Afghanistan or Syria or whatever.
I've heard of that. Yep. And I've heard of like
Yeah.
it's like a DEA agent and a cop got into a shootout and a drug raid. I mean,
Yeah, I read this story about a guy who was a undercover ATF agent that was trying to like do deep undercover work where they were trying to like bust some people for illegally selling firearms or something.
yeah.
And some local cops came and fucking found the dudes that were like trying to organize the deal, and they beat the shit out of both of them. And the fucking ATF agent was like suing the police force because they beat the shit out of the.
Oh, I did. That was recently, wasn't it?
I think it was recently.
Those cops should get a medal. The only thing they did wrong was not finishing the job. You know, that's the only thing they did wrong. Yeah, it's a DOJ forms domestic terror unit. So it's this is AP News. Let's see. We've seen a growing threat from those who are motivated by racial animus, as well as those ascribed to extremist, anti-government, and anti-authority ideologies. So yeah. So right now it's going to be used to. It really.
Well, no,
they
don't want to say it. They don't want to say it, but they're going to use it to crack down on the fucking. Honestly, though, right now, I don't know. Maybe just because like news organizations haven't been reporting it, but it doesn't really seem like the Antifa people have been too active lately.
Well, it's because they're guys in office.
Yeah,
because their donors aren't going to give them money to travel around the country when they've got their people.
Yeah, true. The Soros organization.
I don't think it's all Soros, but I think there's definitely some big money behind it. You know, it's
of course.
You know, I mean, you got the same people popping up in protests all over the country. It's like, where do you guys work? What do you do? Like, you know, it's like I don't think you're traveling nurses. Like, what's going on?
Soros organization busting the people into the protests.
Yeah, somebody's funding this shit. You know, it's just like, and it's not. They're not posting ads on Craigslist and doing it. It's under the table. But and not everyone that goes to these protests obviously is being paid. But there are people paying provocateurs. I mean, that's almost an accepted fact. Because you got, like I said, you got the same people over and over again at rallies from fucking New York to LA. That you know,
to
that's
Washington.
To Washington, to Chicago. It's like what
country. Yeah.
You got agitators all Minneapolis. You got agitators all over the country. It's like, who's paying for these guys? You know, I don't think these guys are all like from like old money families in the deep South that's like paying for them to go around and protest their causes. Like these are. There's someone else pulling the strings. Back here.
Old money families in the deep South, like the Sanders, Sanders
Colonel
family.
Sanders.
Yeah,
Sanders.
that's the old money in the South.
Old money is such a weird concept because like you see like those country clubs, and they don't like people that are new money, right? So if your parents were middle class or poor and you're rich, they don't like that. They look down on it. Like it's almost
because old money has connections and they build social circles with each other to jerk each other off. Like look at fucking Omaha, dude. Omaha's so blatant with the old money fucking cartel of people that run the city. Like look at the guy that runs FNBO.
Yep.
is
Warren
like
Buffett.
married to the guy that like the chick that runs like fucking NP Dodge. So and NP Dodge is like the biggest fucking real estate company in Omaha, right? Yep. I know FNBO is like the biggest bank there. They control like 50% of the bank assets.
I mean, the
in
Ricketts
Omaha.
family. Pete Ricketts is governor. You know, it's like it's all of them. They're all Warren Buffett and the Buffett kids.
It's literally like nobility in the fucking 1600s. They like marry each other off at 12 years old and probably all inbred and shit. Yeah, stealing fucking Cambodian kids for organ transplants and stuff, man.
Yep,
like,
they got to drink their blood to stay young. That's what it is.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's like it's so weird that it's looked down upon. It's like, oh, you earned your way into wealth. Like, oh no. Not on my watch.
I think it's because they don't like intermingling with with people like that, because they think that they're probably not gonna be like any benefit to them to speak in their social circles. Because it's like a lot of times people like that are stupid. They're rich poor people.
Yeah.
So they don't make it to where they're, especially in the fucking Midwest, man, where like people think it's like fucking godly to be a peasant. You know, like I grew up with nothing. Like okay. But so they know that their grandkids are like 3 generations from them are going to be fucking broke. So
there's no nobility in watching your family fucking starve, man. That's all there is to it. There's nothing cool about that. Now, could you imagine these super rich, like old money in the deep South or in like Nantucket, places like that, or really
Nantucket.
rich people. I just think of like really rich, like country club type places. If Kid Rock tried to get into one of them, just somebody.
Kid Rock's gonna be one of those people that's like, he's not new money. Like Kid Rock's family is gonna be fucking broke as shit 3 generations from now.
Well,
dude.
Actually, no. Kid Rock's dad is very well off. He owns a bunch of Ford dealerships in Detroit.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what people. Yeah, Kid Rock like ran away from home as a teenager.
Wow. Okay.
His family was and became like a drug dealer.
Does Kid Rock own any businesses or anything?
He owns that restaurant in Tennessee. He had one in Detroit for a while, but he said it was too liberal, so he left.
Too liberal.
Such a Kid Rock thing. You know who's funnier than Kid Rock is Ted Nugent.
Yeah, dude, Ted Nugent's like crazy.
It's the guy talks like a fucking thesaurus too. He can never just say, I shot the deer with my arrow. He's like, my mystical arrow traveled through time and space to pierce the venison and create the perfectly toned meal. He would. Have you listened to him on Rogan? I think he's been on 2 or 3
I have.
times.
He's like a fucking boomer, like fucking speak and say, dude.
Yeah.
Like
with massive words, crazy word choices.
Yeah.
He's
one notch away from saying the Jews control the media, dude.
I think he's entertaining, if nothing else. I listen to it for background noise. Rogan asked him, and this is my favorite quote from it, though. Rogan asked him, he's like, so how would you? He's like, you're a volunteer sheriff, because Ted Nugent just roasted the ATF and the FBI and the DEA. He's like, you're a volunteer sheriff. You have to work with these guys, like when you do raids and investigations. He goes, what do you say to him? And Ted Nugent goes, he says, I asked them how they go home and look their wife and kids in the face, knowing they violate every day. The very essence of their job violates the Constitution they swore to uphold. And you know he does too. He's crazy enough. He says it to every one of them. He says
every sheriff should be like that when they have to work with the ATF and all them motherfuckers.
You know, respect it. I'm sure Ted Nugent's crazy. They probably just like, oh, this is just crazy Ted Nugent.
I think it's just like, you know, I see this too from the cop folks that are always like, oh yeah, since fucking the last 3 years, like violent crimes have gone up in cities. And they're like trying to cite like, the fucking safety for like the in the cities has basically gone down by measurable ways. And I'm like, at what cost did your fucking organizations like make the towns more safe? You know what I mean? Like, you know what would make a town really safe is if we just fucking bolt everybody to the wall and not let them do anything. And then by every fucking quantifiable measurement, we can say that murder rates went down, rape rates went down. Like
cameras in houses. I mean,
dude, we can fucking really break some civil liberties to make it safe, dude. Like, but at what cost? Like,
Hitler's Germany was the lowest fucking crime rate in the history of the country, you know, for at least up until that point. Like, you know, it's at what cost is it? Now there does have to be some type of police presence. I'm not one of those abolish the police, defund. I think that's
no, me neither. But definitely, you know, we've hit it a million times here about our opinions on that. But definitely, basically, like you trying to advocate for police. I mean, you could generally advocate for a police state by saying it would be really safe. That is an actual point.
It'd be safe.
Yeah, it would be safe.
At what cost?
Maybe.
You know. At
Maybe
what point is it no longer worth it? You know, it's like, I mean, it's such a complicated issue because I know that when you see there's a problem with something that the initial that the government and our tax dollars are funding, the initial thing is, oh, let's defund it. But it's not that simple, because when you defund the police, a lot of that money is going to get taken away from training programs, you know. And I'm not saying you.
I honestly don't even think that I don't think that throwing more money at them is really what's the issue. Is because you look at like the fucking New York police budget and shit, and they have like more of a budget than like third world, like certain Eastern European countries' military, like defense budget. So it's like they get plenty of fucking money.
I think it's spent.
Well, I think it's the problem. I generally think that the problem is that the bad cops don't get punished, and it's you've said the gang mentality that you say. It's like
the gang mentality. There needs to be a citizen oversight committee.
Yeah, there really does.
No one's married to a police officer. No one's dad was a police officer.
The dad's cop friend, you know, the cop's dad, who was also a cop, doesn't go golfing with the judge that's overseeing the trial for it.
Exactly. I think there needs to be that. I think there needs to be an external audit on where the funds are going and how they can be better allocated, or better allocated. Because I mean, it's, you know, it's a lot of it's padding like bureaucrats' pockets, and it can be.
I'm sure.
You know, it's money. I'm sure.
Dude,
I don't have the budget in front of me, but I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in every city with more than 500,000 people in it that could be spent on training your police on how to de-escalate situations instead of lining the pockets of bureaucrats and unions. You know,
you want to hear a funny example of a local government padding some bureaucrat money here. There's a fucking El Paso city manager that's was put in office by the current mayor, and his fucking salary is exceeds $400,000 a year, and so the guy's name is Tommy Gonzalez, and what was it? Everyone's saying that like this guy is completely unqualified for the position, and apparently is just like
what's his job?
He's a city manager.
Oh yeah, those are all fake jobs.
Yeah. So it's the mayor just like used the buddy system and basically got this guy in
cronyism.
It's cronyism basically.
Yeah. We were talking about, because we got an email the other day saying our utility rates are going to go up again next year, and they do it every 2 years. The board votes on it, and I'm like, why are these people doing? So I looked it up. I'm like, I wonder what the CEO makes of OPPD. So I Googled it. And I found out he makes over $400,000 or close to $500,000 a year. And I also found out that every 2 years they have agreed to bump our rates. Every 2 years he gets a salary raise.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, what kind of organization is that can just vote itself more money and you have no say?
I wish people would protest this shit, man. Like, I wish people would riot in cities, or I can't even say riot. I don't want to call people to riot. But like, this is the kind of shit people should be. This is the kind of shit people should be fucking rioting.
We sell those fuck OPPD shirts in our Redbubble store. Go buy one. Fuck OPPD. They're the fucking worst. They're worse than the Omaha Police Department. They're the ones fucking you. Like, they're the ones hitting you in the fucking pocket.
There's plenty of local governments that are like the fucking the corrupt local government and fucking like a crime movie or some shit, you know what I mean? Like, they're corrupt as fuck. Like, and you could find examples of them, like very black and white examples of them being corrupt as fuck. Like,
Why does a public sector employee need a $500,000 salary? Sorry. Go into the private sector if you want that money. You're in the public sector because you're a public servant. That's all.
$500,000. That's like tax money. It's like 500,000. Like that guy's job is that important. Like
he creates nothing.
He should probably like. I think there should be more transparency and stuff like that, because like if he's doing all sorts of crazy stuff for the city, then they should have It should be like a company, like has measurable results that
it makes more than
published. Or at least available for people to fucking see, you know what I mean? Like,
well, people complain about CEOs being overpaid and everything, and it's you can make that argument, but CEOs at the end of the day, they're paid that because the shareholders agree that that's the amount of value they bring to that company. So the CEO is actually making decisions and affecting. You're talking the dude's the head of OPPD. He's just making decisions on how to fuck us more, and he's getting paid $500,000 a year for it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, you would think of the guy that's the head of the OPPD should be doing stuff like saying like where improvements in electronic infrastructure should be going or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
maybe
giving him 500. What's his salary again?
It's like close to $500,000 a year.
Yeah, dude, like slash that by 300,000, and then they've got more money to fucking pay like OPPD like line workers to like. Or at least to give out like scholarships or something.
And hear me out on this one. We could invest that money back into the electrical grid, so when it gets cold out, we don't have to shut people's power off. Well,
I've heard that one of the biggest problems with Omaha is that there's not enough line workers, and when crazy emergencies happen, they have to literally like get fucking line workers from like Iowa and Kansas in. And I'm like, well, if you've got a shortage, cut that guy's fucking salary down, and then or get do what companies do, fire him and get a new one in at way cheaper,
buy him out,
and then use that fucking money that you're saving to like pay scholarships for people right out of high school to go learn how to be fucking line workers, man. Like
exactly
give them lucrative fucking pay to these public people that should be out there fixing and doing line work, because it's like, I mean, look at like Omaha has crazy storms all the time. It can just be cold out and the fucking power goes out. Like I remember a Christmas where that happened actually.
Yep.
So
good old fucking OPPD. Yeah, well, it's the highest paid public servant in the country, and the federal government's Dr. Fauci.
Is he really?
Yep.
He's paid more than like the Secretary of Defense.
More than anyone in the country.
Really? Huh?
Yep. Yeah,
that is insane. Let me look at Dr. Fauci here.
He's a piece of. Well, have you heard about his Tunisian experiments that he got caught doing that he was funding?
Kind of.
So what they were doing, and if you got anything, we don't do trigger warnings on this show because we think it's for pussies. If there's anything you don't like about hearing about like abuse to animals, mute it for like 30 seconds. So what this fucking sack of shit cocksucking motherfucker was doing was they were in Tunisia because it's basically called outsourcing ethics. It's for when you do something that you couldn't, you do
Africa.
Africa, South America, you do an experiment that you couldn't legally do in the United States or Canada or Europe, and you take it somewhere that they don't care, that they'll turn a blind eye to it. So what they were doing was they trapped beagles in cages, and they beagle puppies, and they stuck they had two sides of the cage, and one side was big enough to fit their head through it. They'd pin them down, stick their head on the other end of it, and they'd put a bunch of sandflies in there and let the sandflies eat the face off the dog to measure what it like the neurons that go off when it's in pain. That was your tax dollars funded that. Your tax dollars funded that. Dr. Fauci, the highest paid professional who were on TV calling himself the Dr. Truth in Science, and he's God and all this shit that we fucking worship. He's got a Disney Plus documentary about him. He did that. He's the one that okayed it, signed off on it, approved it. That's him.
He did it, or he just okayed it?
Well, I mean, he wasn't there putting them in there, but he's the one that approved it. Yeah, it's his thing. You got to be responsible. You got to hold yourself responsible for the things you approve of. You know,
they really did made a National Geographic film about him.
About Fauci?
Yeah,
Disney.
That's
Disney.
pretty lame, dude.
Did Nat Geo make one too?
Nat Geo is owned by Disney.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So that's why like Nat Geo appears on the Disney Plus app.
Oh, okay. Who would watch that? How much of a loser do you have to be?
Cult of personality type people, like
it is. It's really
weirdos, man.
mass psychosis is what they're calling it. It's so like it's become such a cult. I mean, there's a difference. I mean, I'm not one of the people, like I know I joke and say COVID's fake and stuff. I'm not one of the people that thinks it's not real. Like if I've been around somebody that has COVID, I'm not going to go to my grandma's house the next day. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't receive hospital care. Like that's asinine.
So I'm looking at this, and Fauci's basically been the top advisory guy for health since like the Ronald Reagan days.
Yeah, he's the one that started the AIDS scare. He was like riling people up saying it was going to go airborne. He's a fucking maniac. Really? Yeah.
Well, I know in the 80s they just didn't know anything about AIDS though, because it was kind of new. So they had to do, and I've heard that I've been seeing new stuff about that. They've basically found a way to cure AIDS.
It's like 2 or 3 people that their immune system, they say it's in your immune system at birth. They're trying to figure out how to copy those genes. But
I've heard that they've done it. I've heard that they've basically found a way to make it. They've basically got this girl, there are a couple people to completely
I saw that
AIDS free. Yeah. And it's like recent.
And it's not Magic Johnson just putting money into his veins.
Yeah, Magic Johnson injects liquid gold into his veins. That's how he gets that AIDS, because they need more money, dude. Like,
yep, that's how. No, but medicine's come a long way. You know, that's why I'm not one of those people that believes, oh, they have a cure for cancer, you know, in a lab somewhere, but they won't do it to make money. Because like, imagine if you cured cancer, you would be like a trillionaire.
Yeah, you would make so much money. Goddamn, dude.
The thing with cancer is it's not like they're all different. It's not one magic bullet that could treat everything.
It's your cells getting all dumb. It's not like an actual fucking virus going into your body. It's like your cells getting messed up.
It depends where the cancer is, how aggressive it is. You know,
it's your cells that are become cancerous. It's not like a viral, like airborne disease or something.
Yeah. So it's just like what do you know? There's not this just shot that they can give you that would cure cancer. You know, and it's. Those
are the tinfoil hat wearing types that like to think stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's some legitimacy to some conspiracy theories, but they lose me at stuff like that, like the moon landing being staged.
Stuff that just don't make any sense.
I mean, you talk about like FBI and like we were talking about earlier in the episode, like FBI and federal interference and stuff like that in riots and political extremist groups. That's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. Like we know that happens.
Yeah.
You know, the guys that were trying to kidnap Whitmer in Michigan. Michigan's famous for it. Michigan, do you remember the Hutari militia?
Nah, kind of.
It was like this Christian identity group, or so they thought the end of the world was coming. And like 30 of them got popped in this federal raid. They were going to pretend a car was broken down on the side of the road. And when the cop came up to see what was going on, they'd pop up and kill him. And after they killed him, they were going to rig the funeral. The ones that weren't in jail were going to rig the funeral with explosives when all the rest of the cops showed up for it and blow it up and just create terror and stuff. Well, they arrested all these people for it. And the tapes came out when the lawyers subpoenaed the federal government for it. And the Fed that had infiltrated this group was not just a silent listener. He was the one who came up with the idea. He walked them through how they would do it. He came up with everything. He was the one that they never would have thought to do that. They just would have ran around and played army in the fucking woods for the rest of their lives until this guy came along and told them to do it. It's like these federal provocateurs, they're a thing, man. They exist. You know, you see, like you look for like undercover cops at raves and concerts and stuff. It's the same thing. It's do you remember?
I just tell people to think like, how easy would it be for you to make a fake profile and go infiltrate some BLM group,
right,
and organize? You know, it'd probably take some effort, but like, if you've got fucking money for it, go infiltrate and tell them to go organize something in front of some crazy shit to start some problem. Imagine not even show up to it.
Imagine someone that does it for a living. Like that's all you got to do. That's all you do. Infiltrate this group. Go troll these people. That's all you got to do.
That's literally what the KGB does, dude.
Like the CIA does that shit to people in other countries or to other countries all the time.
They do it to I'm sure they do it to us too.
No, the FBI has basically become the CIA against the American people. It's crazy. Yeah. Like it's just nuts to me. And that's what they do is they infiltrate these groups and they fucking it's asinine and we fall for it every time. and we still trust the intelligence community. That's what the main lines would
Kennedy didn't trust the intelligence community. That's where he ended up, huh?
It's just, no shit.
And I think that's where we got to end it tonight too.
Yeah. That is where we got to end it. Promo code will always be bread. I don't know if we'll have the show up yet, but Harmful Content Comedy. I gotta say, guys, the show's called Harmful Content Comedy. I'm gonna get on my soapbox one more time before we end the episode.
Did you get some negative criticism or something?
Yes. Show's called Harmful Content Comedy. We bill it as the most offensive comedy show in the Midwest, most offensive comedy show. That does not mean that you're going to come here and hear woke stuff. Oh, white males are bad. Like, someone may make jokes about that, but that's not going to be the entirety of someone's set. You're going to hear some things that make you go, damn. Fucking relax or don't come. Like, that's just what, like, that's all there is to it. Don't come if you don't want to hear offensive shit. I don't know how else to advertise it. If you
should be happy that people are going, man. It's like
I'll take their money. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
But I don't like the complaints. I don't, it's just like, just don't
I personally I don't think you should give a shit that people complain, because it's like, people are going to complain because that's just the nature of like what you guys are doing. Yeah, but they're paying and they're going.
No, the complaints aren't my issue. I know people are going to complain. I know that's the attention we're attracting, but like, it was the last show we did. It was the entire audience was like that. It was like they did not want to be offended, and it was like there were a couple people in there that were cool, and there were people that were like hiding their laughs so their friends wouldn't.
So the show didn't go good.
The show we had decent attendance as far as you could be with everyone getting sick, but like, yeah, it was just one of those things. It was just everyone in there was just overly. Okay, he really said that. Oh my god! And it wasn't just at me.
Where did you do the show at again? I forget.
Wired, same place.
Yeah, it was at Wired. Yeah, I didn't think you were like doing it out in McCook or something.
No, that's the first. I mean, Wired guests know what they're getting into. Like, people that come to our shows have always known, like, hey, this is going to be these guys are going to get rowdy. There's going to be some crazy antics. They're going to say some crazy shit, and I'm cool with that. That's the kind of stuff I'm into. But for whatever reason, I don't know if we marketed it different, but the wrong people saw the advertisements for this. And
I mean, it happens. Yeah. I would just say it happens. You're not, every show that you do isn't going to be a fucking home run.
No. And, I don't mind people not laughing at people. I don't mind if it's just a rough crowd that's not laughing. But like, when you can hear them making little comments, oh, that's not right. He shouldn't say that. That's when it's like, come on, what are you doing here? Did you come here? You spent money to get yourself upset? Again, I'll take your money. That's going to pay for me to get drunk tonight. But
yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like your shtick is being offensive like that. Yeah. I mean, the whole show. So I don't think you should take it to heart, man. I think you should think it's funny. Like, you should take some of the fucking like things that people have sent it to or something, and like put it as like a fucking like reviews of it on like your posters and stuff like
that. We've thought of doing that before.
Yeah, you should do stuff like that, man. Like, you just shouldn't take it to heart. It's like, it's going to happen at shows like that. There's going to be crowds that are better than others, but it's not like you're changing your fucking content. You're doing the same shit. So,
and like, when I was in Des Moines a couple of years ago, and I had that really bad set, and it was like one of those moments I walked in and I knew right then and there. Like, I looked at the audience. These are college-aged white women, 3/4 of this audience. I'm going to have a bad set. I knew that. And I tried.
Those are the same girls that 20 years ago would be fucking saying that Britney Spears was a Satan worshiper. You know what I mean? Like that same demographic. So.
Yeah. So I mean, that's who they're trying to cancel, but now they're just really liberal. But I went in there and I was like, I saw them all, and I'm like, well, so what I did, and this is where I learned not to do this, was I watered my set down. I changed it. I tried to make it less offensive. And then the other 25% of the people in the room that wanted to hear the stuff that I was going to say, they got fucked over. So it's like, that's right. Like, That's where I learned. It's like, don't change yourself for people who are going to hate you no matter what you do. And it's and because the ones that actually like you for you are going to enjoy it, and you don't do it at their expense.
Exactly. It's like, you're going to have bad crowds. You're going to get people that are going to get fucking their panties in a bunch, but it's like,
and it's deeper than
still
just
paid for the show, dumb fucks. So
it's deeper than just comedy. Don't change yourself, you know, to impress people that aren't going to like you anyway at the expense of people who like you for who you truly are.
Yeah,
you know,
I
think
entertainment in general.
yeah,
for sure.
it's just life in general, you know. It's
yeah.
I mean, it was an important lesson. That's why I'm glad even though I almost died in the car ride home, but that's why it was an important set. And I decided
that was that Iowa, the one end of
Yeah.
it was the cursed show.
Yep.
Somebody
was,
put a fucking
you know,
hex on you.
it was a bad set, and I learned that you can't change for people that aren't going to like you no matter what you do. And I learned halfway through to just go down with the ship and pour kerosene on the fucking fire.
Yeah.
Start talking shit to everybody.
I mean, because here's the thing is like I think for your like for comedy at least,
yeah,
I think it's better to have people not like you for what you are.
Yeah.
Because at least you're being genuine, like,
Right, yeah.
to what you are, you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
It's like, yeah.
It's not.
So it's not like it's like you can't think in your head like, oh, I did my show bad. It's like, well, no, I didn't do it any different than when I have really good nights. It's just
Right.
sometimes
It's
you
the
just
same.
get crowds that just aren't gonna vibe with what you're doing.
And
so.
that's the best thing about it is like I've fucking murdered with the same set in front of plenty of crowds. I know, and that's what I tell people is like I have no problem eating shit anymore. It was just I think that this was at my show is what irked me is that my show is not supposed to attract sensitive people, and it did.
Yeah, it's not on you, it's on them. The show was literally marketed as being offensive.
Yeah.
So it's like watching South Park and getting offended. It's like, bro, you fucking know what South Park
it's like banging
is.
your head on a pole and getting upset when you have a headache, you know? It's like
exactly. It's self-inflicted misery on their end.
That's the best thing about it is I've been doing it long enough, and like I tell people like I don't mind bombing anymore. Like if I eat shit, I know it wasn't my crowd because I know there's like I've killed with the exact same set in plenty of other in front of plenty of other crowds in plenty of other cities. It's not a concern of mine, you know. So it is what it is. If they don't like me, somebody else will.
Comedy is incredibly subjective. Like there's people out there that think Monty Python and the Holy Grail is the stupidest fucking movie ever made. People think it's and they're clearly fucking wrong, but but you know what I mean? Like with comedy, you're just it's a crowd. Like you know
that's exactly it. So it's like what are you gonna do? It's some people don't like me, some people do.
The saving grace is that it was your show, and I mean you made money off of them, so it's not like it's not like anything they're gonna say to people isn't stuff that you're not marketing it as,
right.
You know?
Well, and there are comics even in the scene that can appeal to every audience, and that doesn't mean they have like people like
not even such like the people that have those real like soft like sets and stuff. A lot of people think that stuff is fucking lame, and they won't think it's funny.
Well, and not necessarily soft people that they don't go out of their way to hurt your feelings. Think like Jason Regan type comic. He's fucking hilarious. He doesn't say anything that's overly offensive. He'll push boundaries.
Yeah, even Jason Regan though, I'm sure he's had crowds where I know he's had crowds.
I've seen him. You know, it's but I mean, as long as you're pushing he'll push boundaries. He doesn't say anything over the top like I do, but you know, he's pushing boundaries, he's taking chances, but he can appeal to every crowd. I'm not that type of comic. There are plenty of comics and I'm cool with that. I've never been that type of person that can appeal to every person. That's never been who I am, and I'm fine with that. You know, that's really what it comes down to is just be your fucking self if you really want to try this stand-up thing. So I think we can end it on that. Sorry, I just had to get off my soapbox there.
Yeah,
make sure y'all like and subscribe, rate us on Apple Podcasts. Promo code BREAD BREAD for $2 or $3, whatever it is, off tickets to the next Harmful Content Comedy on February 12th. It's a Saturday at Wired Pub and Grill, featuring the Queen of Comedy, Carmela Anderson, and a whole bunch more. Peace the fuck out, y'all.
Oh yeah, deuces, everyone. See you.